We now live in a world where achieving financial independence as a Muslim woman is almost close to necessary, especially after the recent recession. Therefore, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 beginner steps that you can take and also my journey towards achieving financial independence as a Muslim woman in Singapore based on my experience. Coming right up. Hi everyone, I'm Shafiqah and I'm a financial advisor representing SN Islamic. Make sure to stick through the entire video as there will be a bonus content at the end. Now let's dive straight into the 3 beginner steps that you as a Muslim woman can take in order to achieve financial independence. Before you even think about how much you should have in your bank before investing, or what type of investments you should have in your portfolio, we need to take a step back and go through this first step, which I honestly believe is incredibly underrated. And that is to learn from the others, specifically the successful people in your circle. I believe that successful people are pathfinders. You can learn a lot from them by following what they did at the start when it comes to their finances. If you want to excel at achieving financial independence, then education should be the first step. You can start by modeling these individuals. Pay attention to how they manage their money, their work ethics, the steps that they took when facing adversity, be it financial burdens or roadblocks that they face in their business and work. And from there, try to replicate what they do. The common mistake that most individuals make is that they try to create their own system from scratch. I mean, sure, their system might work in the end. However, why not just model from someone who is already successful and achieved financial independence? It was something that I did for myself back in the day. I asked some of my older relatives and friends what were the do's and don'ts when it comes to managing finances. I paid extra attention to some of the mistakes that they did at the start and tried my best to avoid them. However, take note that we all have different pacing. Do what makes sense financially for you at the current moment. I realize that most of us overestimate what we can achieve in 1 year, but we underestimate what we can achieve in the next 5 years or so. If the friend that you have been learning from did something significant at the age you're at now, but you don't have the financial means to do so, then don't do it yet. Do not jump the gun and compromise your finances. Which brings me to the next beginner step, which is to save to protect. The first thing that you should do once you have started working is to build up your emergency funds. I remember during the time when I first started working full-time as a caseworker, I would always discipline myself to save first before spending. Whenever I got my salary, I would set aside a portion of my money into my savings. However, at that time, I was just saving for the sake of saving. I didn't really know how to properly allocate whatever I saved, and I did not have a clear goal in mind. I initially thought that I was doing decent managing my finances, but that changed when I met my financial advisor. It was him that pointed out some of the financial gaps that I was facing. For instance, I didn't allocate and turn some of my savings into emergency funds. I remembered him emphasizing on building up to at least 3 to 6 months of my expenditure in case of an emergency. While building up your emergency funds, it would be advisable for you to also start saving up for insurance. Now, I won't go into detail on the types of insurance plans. If you want to know more, you can always schedule an appointment with us. But for now, all I can simply say is that insurance is meant to financially protect yourself from unforeseen circumstances. Growing our money is important, but what's more important is to protect the current money that we are trying to grow. There isn't a point in earning additional income only to use it entirely for sudden death or illnesses, be it if it happens to you or the people that you love. So now you might be asking yourself, okay, how much then should I spend on insurance? Personally, for me, I started out with the basic of the basic. I purchased a policy that made sense financially to me at that time and one that was able to cover my basic needs should something unfortunate happens. Insurance policies are not meant to enrich us, so just get yourself a policy that is adequate to cover your financial needs. When it comes to achieving financial independence, I strongly believe in hoping for the best but to also prepare for the worst. I've witnessed firsthand on how a lack of protection can negatively impact not only individuals but families as well, especially when I was still working as a caseworker. And it can be heartbreaking to see the domino effect of poor financial planning. Obviously, I won't be sharing exactly what happened to the families and individuals affected. But what I can say is that our hard-earned money is just one financial decision away from being taken away from us should an unforeseen circumstance happen. The final beginner step that you can take is to start taking calculated risks. I believe that investments are necessary. Why? Simply because of inflation. Inflation is an ongoing matter that we cannot escape from, and history has shown that over the years. An example would be the increase in the cost of education. See, the thing is, inflation is something that isn't within our control. However, what we can control is how we overcome it, which is why you need to start investing young and holding your investments long term. But please remember to take calculated risks. As a start, Setting aside 10% of your monthly income is good enough. In the future, your accumulated investment portfolio can be used to relieve some of the financial burdens that you might face. Just like the example I've given previously, tertiary and higher education might not be the only forms of education that we want for our children. We might want to send them for additional tuition lessons, madrasah, or additional ngaji lessons. On top of that, Hajj has always been known to be costly. We need at least 10,000 now if you want to go for Hajj. With inflation factored in, we can only imagine how much Hajj is gonna cost in the next 10 years. And this is where your investments can come into play. Also, with the current pandemic, COVID has caused major salary reduction and even taken away jobs. Yes, having emergency funds is important, but having additional money in your portfolio can further reduce the financial burdens that you and your family might face in the future in the event of a recession. For me, I do have my own investments at the moment, but if there's anything I would change in terms of my personal finance, it would be to start investing way earlier. But like I said, each to their own pacing. At that time, I wasn't financially ready to invest. How do you know if you're financially ready to invest? Well, you can always reach out to us if you need any assistance in studying your current finances. So those are the 3 beginner steps that you can take to achieve financial independence. And if you have enjoyed the video so far, please remember to subscribe and follow us on our social media for more content. At SN Islamic, not only do we educate Muslims on how to manage their finances, but we also dive deep into Islamic finance related topics. So for the bonus content for the day, I will explain why it's important to not be financially dependent on your husband and kids. Yes, it's been stated that Muslim women don't have any financial obligations in accordance to Islam. But it's always better to stay prepared. Having just one sole breadwinner simply means putting all of your eggs into one basket. And in the event that your husband loses his job, become ill, or is unable to work, the entire financial security will fall. For myself, being able to work gives me the freedom to spend when I want and need to without having to rely on my husband. And Alhamdulillah, my husband and I are able to live comfortably with a dual income. On top of that, I humbly believe that our children shouldn't be our retirement plan. You and I know how hard living in Singapore can be. Children will grow up to have their own goals and challenges, and they may or may not be able to contribute financially. Ultimately, planning for my retirement while I'm still young and healthy is my ikhtiar, and I pray for the best, inshallah. Now, before I go off, the question of the day is, have you achieved your emergency funds? Comment yes below if you have. If you have not, then let us know how close you are to reaching it. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, leave a like and share this video around so that others can benefit from this video just like how you did. If you need help with financial planning, feel free to register your interest at our website or simply send us a DM via Facebook or Instagram. I'll see you guys soon.